If you are generally interested in the strangest and out-of-place things, you are at the right place. What do you know about artifacts? Artifacts are items crafted long ago by skilled people that have now become objects of cultural or historical interest. This iceberg has more than 60 entries and will discuss the strangest and most controversial artifacts known to man. As always, we would greatly appreciate it if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel, as this video took a lot of effort. The Saqqara bird is one of the most controversial artifacts in the world. It is a bird-shaped wooden item discovered during the excavation of the Padi Imin tomb in Saqqara, Egypt. When it was first discovered, experts thought that perhaps the world had found one of the earliest attempts at creating a glider. However, the Saqqara bird is made out of sycamore wood and has been dated to about 2,200 years ago. Not much is known about the purpose of the bird, as there is no proper documentation to reference. But as always, there are some intriguing theories. The Saqqara bird is modeled after a falcon, which is most commonly used to represent important gods like Horus in Egyptian mythology. So Saqqara may have been built with a spiritual undertone. Secondly, it may have been a toy for an elite child or a boomerang. Others claim that the bird may be a sign that knowledge about aviation principles may have existed centuries ago. However, this claim is highly contested because the wooden bird is far too heavy and unstable to fly. From an exciting find to a total misconception, helicopter hieroglyphics was one of the sacred carvings from the temple of Pharaoh Seti, the first of Abydos in Egypt. For context, hieroglyphics is the writing system of ancient Egyptians used for inscriptions on walls. In those days, some were so skillfully carved that they resembled art rather than writing. The helicopter caused quite an exciting stir, as some believe this ancient mural depicts technology far ahead of its time, but in reality, it's nothing quite out of place. The real story is that the helicopter image on the wall is caused of carved stone being reused over time. The initial carving made during the reign of Seti, the first translates to "he who repulses the nine," which refers to the enemies of Egypt. During the reign of another pharaoh, Rameses II, the carving was refilled and carved again to read "he who protects Egypt and overthrows foreign countries." So, there is no mystery or depiction of technology ahead of time, just misconception. A hoax or a genuine find? The Maine Penny is considered the oldest coin found in the United States of Maine. The coin is a 10th century silver coin of Norwegian origin, made in honor of King Olaf Kyrre of Norway. On August 18, 1957, Guy Melgren, a local resident and amateur archaeologist, claimed to have found the coin at the Goddard site. The find is debated as either a hoax or genuine because the story behind the find or how the coin got to the site is unclear. Some opinions claim that the coin is evidence that Vikings made it to North America, while others claim that it might have been exchanged during trade relations with locals. But what if Melgren planted it at the site? Or he was deceived by someone who planted it? This is because the Norwegian coins and similar coins that existed within the same era were available in the open market in 1957. In a divided poll, the American Numismatic Society in 2006 declared it a hoax find, while a Norwegian numismatist declared it genuine in 2017. The Shroud of Turin is one of the most attention-grabbing relics of all times, with more than 2 million visitors from around the world to see it at one viewing. The reason is simple. It is a linen cloth bearing the faint image of the front and back of a man, presumed to be the burial clothes of Jesus Christ of Nazareth. It is believed to be the clothes used to wrap Jesus' body after his crucifixion, and the image on it is his bodily image miraculously imprinted. The documented history of the celebrated relic dates back to 1354 when it was first exhibited in north-central France. Interestingly, while no official pronouncement has been made about its authenticity by religious experts and scientists, religious people all over the world have created devotions in honor of the image on the shroud. From the initial photographs of the shroud, first taken by Secondo Pia in 1898, the digitally processed image shows the face of a bearded man with shoulder-length hair parted in the middle. The shroud resides at the Cathedral of St. John the Baptist in Turin, Italy. From Asia to New Zealand, how did the bell travel so far from home? The Tamil bell is part of a bronze bell recovered around the early 1830s by the first European to visit the Maori village, William Colenso. Around that time, the Maori people cooked with the traditional wooden vessels, but Colenso encountered a strange bronze pot which turned out to be a portion of a ship's bell. Apparently, that portion of the Tamil bell was founded in their village by their ancestors, and they adopted it for cooking. Scholars discovered that the foreign language on the ship's bell was Tamil, a language spoken partly in India, Sri Lanka, and Singapore. Archaeologists concluded that a shipwrecked vessel of Tamil origins may have drifted to rest on the shores of New Zealand, or that the bell might have been in possession of a well-traveled sailor. But the Tamil writing suggests that the bell was made in the 17th or 18th century. The Kensington Runestones story is a dark tale of settlement and murder, though still heavily contested because some people think that it did not happen. Olof Åman, a Swedish immigrant, claimed to have found the piece of sandy stone lying face down and entangled in tree roots while clearing a land he had purchased in 1898. On the stone was an inscription which was allegedly left by some Scandinavian explorers. The word-for-word translation of the runes read 8 Götalanders and 22 Northmen on this exploration journey from Vinland far to the west. We had a camp by 2 shelters, 1 day's journey north from this stone. We were fishing one day. After we came home, we found 10 men red from blood and dead. Ave Maria saves from evil. There are 10 men by the inland sea to look after our ship's 14-day journey from this peninsula. In the year 1362, academics who studied the translation insisted that the stone was a fabrication, as the stone might have been carved later than the 14th century because of the use of language. They dated the stone to the 19th century and concluded that the physical condition of the stone is also suspicious as it looked well preserved to be from the 14th century. The Kensington Runestone is displayed at the Runestone Museum in Alexandria, Minnesota. The Nazca and Palpa culture lines are the most outstanding geoglyphs in the world for their size, diversity, number, and long period of development. They are located in the coastal plains of Peru and have drawn in tourists, researchers, archaeologists, and scholars from all over the world. The drawings date back to 500 AD and 500 BC to the Nazca people. The hundreds of individual figures vary from simple to complex lines depicting hummingbirds, spiders, monkeys, fish, sharks, orcas, llamas, and lizards. Many have been superimposed on older ones, with erasures and overwritings complicating their interpretation. The first published mention of the Nazca Lines was in 1553 in a book where it was described as trail markers. As other people began to rediscover its trails, it drew scientific attention, and possible speculations concerning its purpose were developed. The majority of researchers believe that the lines testify to the magical religious word of the pre-Hispanic people as it communicated their worship of heavenly deities. When it comes to the Voynich Manuscripts, many have given up hope of ever decoding its message or tracking its source. The Voynich Manuscripts may just make it to the list of the world's most mysterious things of all time, as the origin of the script is unknown, the writers remain untraceable, and the scripts remain undecoded, and it is not because no one has tried. The Voynich Manuscripts is an illustrated codex of many pages from the early 15th century, and this was discovered only after the vellum it was written on was carbon dated. From stylistic analysis, the script may have been written in an unknown language in Italy during the Italian Renaissance. After much analysis, some analysts have said that the manuscript's language may be based on Hebrew. Though it remains a mystery, the Voynich Manuscripts have influenced a lot of fictional works. Since 1969, it has been held in a library at Yale University. The Antikythera Mechanism is the oldest known example of an analog computer. It was used to predict astronomical positions and eclipses decades in advance. In 1902, archaeologist Valerio Staes identified it after it was retrieved from the wreckage of a shipwreck off the coast of the Greek island Antikythera, which it is now named after. The artifact is believed to have been designed by Hellenistic scientists around 87 BC. The discovery of the Antikythera mechanism changed modern views concerning the limit of ancient technology, as its sophistication predates anything else approaching its level of sophistication by more than 1,000 years. A routine walk turned into the discovery of the London Hammer. So, a couple took a walk along Red Creek, Texas, London in June 1936, and during their walk, they found a piece of wood poking out of an ancient rock formation. The couple returned home with the unusual find, but they were never curious enough to dig into it. A decade later, their son, who was obviously a curious kid, smashed the rock to discover an ancient hammer. The couple later sold the rock to Carl Baugh, a young Earth creationist who made a big deal out of it and made it go viral. A group of archaeologists performed a check on it and found out that the rock surrounding the hammer is about 400 million years old, with the hammer itself about 500 million years old. The hammer is consistent with typical American tools manufactured around the 1800s, and most have been dropped by a miner. Another mystery only partially decoded. The disc made of fine-grained clay was discovered by Italian archaeologist Luigi Pernier during the 1908 excavation of the Minoan Palace of Phaistos. It is covered on either side by a spiral text of 45 signs with a total of 241 occurrences. The clay disc has been generally agreed to be of Crete origin, but the clay used in the making may not be from Crete. It is not clear whether the text on the disc is a script, alphabet, or symbols. But each claim has been made by several professionals who have tried to study it, so it is disputed. Many of the signs are depictions of recognizable objects such as flowers, humans, birds, and boats. After several theories and possible attempts at an interpretation, the most recent theory is that the disc describes a hymn or ritual associated with the primary fertility or mother goddess of the Minoans, a claim that is still heavily disputed by other scholars. For over 100 years, no clear answers have emerged concerning the origin of the finely crafted mystery stone egg found by construction workers near the shores of Lake Winnipesaukee in New England in 1872. The mystery stone egg, hard as granite, is about the shape and size of a goose egg in color black. The stone is marked by bizarre carvings like astronomical symbols, human faces, inverted arrows, a moon with some dots, an ear of corn with 17 kernels in the row, a deer's legs, and some kind of animal with large ears, amongst others. While the origin and purpose of the egg are not certain, some interpretations of it have proposed that it represents a treaty between two tribes, while another says that it is a thunderstone. The discovery was accredited to Seneca Ladd, a Meredith businessman who hired workers to dig a fence around the area where it was discovered. The stone is now on exhibit at the Museum of New Hampshire History. We may never fully know what lies in every corner of the planet, but we are almost sure of some animals, plants, or objects that are considered extinct, or maybe not. Sivatherium is part of the giraffe family, which was considered extinct over 1 million years ago. But a more recent discovery has researchers scratching their heads in confusion because the animal may have survived till the early days of civilization and went into extinction only about 8,000 years ago. During a joint archaeological expedition in the mid-1920s, an elaborate copper rain ring was discovered in the remnants of ancient Kish in modern-day Iraq. The copper ring itself was not the object of fascination, but the animal depicted on it, which was a Sivatherium. It was discovered that the item dates back to roughly 3,500 BC, and it did not resemble any animal of that time, but rather the supposedly extinct Sivatherium. How the animal survived is unknown, but evidence strongly suggests that it did survive till the dawn of civilization. Tecaxic-Calixlahuaca Head is a relic from an ancient burial custom. It is an earthenware that was most likely originally part of a larger figurine discovered in 1933 among pre- or post-Columbian items buried with a body in the Toluca Valley of Mexico. The head was found during an excavation with other objects made of gold, copper, turquoise, rock crystal, jet, bone, shell, and pottery. Research confirmed the identity of the head to be a Roman artifact from the 2nd or 3rd century AD. Among the explanations given for the discovery is that the head may have been part of a burial as an import from Europe. It may be a confirmation that Romans traveled to America within the period, or that Viking travelers had it with them as a souvenir. The Nebra Sky Disk is one of the most important finds of the 20th century. It shows the world's known oldest depiction of astronomical phenomena. The Nebra Sky Disk, along with some other items, was found by 2 illegal treasure hunters in Nebra, Germany in 1999. It is a bronze disc with blue-green layers embedded with gold symbols. The symbols have been interpreted as the sun and the moon, a lunar crescent, and stars. The items represented on the disc have been termed as significant, especially the 32 stars, possibly encoding the calendar rule numerically. Over time, discussions about the disc have become an emotional subject, even generating a feud in the astronomical community concerning its age. One party states that the disc is about 3,600 years old, dating back to the Bronze Age, while the other insists that it must be 1,000 years younger. Dodecahedrons are another mysterious historical find that has left archaeologists curious for many decades. They are small, hollow objects of Roman origin made of copper alloy with 12 flat pentagonal faces and several holes connecting to the center. Since the first one was founded in 1739, over 116 more have been located in Austria, Belgium, France, Germany, Hungary, Luxembourg, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. Here is what we know about the dodecahedrons. They date back from the 2nd to 4th centuries AD. They are of Roman origin, and they rarely show signs of wear, but their purpose remains unknown. From speculations about its purpose, most people believe that it may have been a survey instrument for estimating distance. They may have a connection with coins, and latter speculations say that they may have been fortune-telling devices. The Piri Reis Map is a world map developed by a man named Admiral Piri Reis by assembling and consulting over 20 regional maps from an Arab map of India, 4 Portuguese maps showing India and China, and a map of the western parts, the coasts, and islands drawn by Columbus. The rediscovery of Columbus's lost map, which he made during his last voyage to the New World, made Piri Reis's map an exciting contribution to history, drawing international attention. The map, now known as the Map of America, is dated to 1513, but it was not discovered until 1928 by scholars working in Turkey's Topkapi Palace Museum. By then, only 1/3 of the map survived and was saved by the scholars. Its accurate details of the quite recently discovered North and South American continents give the impression that the chart was made by a cartographer who was ahead of his time. Many myths have now trailed the map's history, including an account that it is proof that aliens may have created it while orbiting the Earth because the map is too advanced for its time. The Veil of Saint Veronica is a Christian relic supposedly bearing the image of the face of Jesus of Nazareth, which was imprinted on it on his way to be crucified. According to the account of the way to the cross at Calvary, Veronica had encountered Jesus along Via Dolorosa, a processional route leading to the place of the crucifixion, and she was moved to pity and compassion for the man whose face had been beaten and bruised. Veronica then drew closer, and she wiped Jesus' face of blood and sweat with her veil. His face left an imprint on the veil, and Veronica later traveled to Rome to present it to the Roman Emperor Tiberius. Many early accounts of the veil say that it has quenched thirst, cured blindness, and even raised the dead. From the 14th century, when the veil became popular, many images depicting it have been made, and thousands of people have gathered to venerate it, several times in history. Had it not been later explained, the Guanabara Bay of Jars would have discredited Christopher Columbus as the first explorer to reach the New World and would have credited the Romans with that title. In 1982, an American archaeologist and treasure hunter Robert Marks discovered a large collection of amphorae, which are tall jars frequently carried on Roman ships around the 2nd century BC in Guanabara Bay, close to the coast of Rio de Janeiro. According to Marks, he was barred from going further with the hunt by the Brazilian Navy, and the speculation was that they were blocking a major addition to history. It was later explained that the jars were of local origin. A Brazilian businessman had made the jars in Portugal in the early 1960s and submerged 16 of them into the bay in 1961 to achieve an authentic look. But he was only able to retrieve 4 before Marks made the headlines. Across different parts of the world, the skillfulness and creativity of humans are unique, and that uniqueness lies in the 300 man-made stone balls of the now extinct Dikis culture. The stone spheres are the best-known stone sculptures of the Isthmo-Colombian era. They were discovered in the 1930s by workers of the United Fruit Company, who were clearing land in the Dikis Valley of Costa Rica. The workers unearthed large numbers of the stones in varying sizes. Their significance is not exactly known, but they're thought to be placed along the lines approaching the houses of chiefs, and they are now generally accepted to be made for decoration. In July 2014, the spheres were declared as a national symbol for Costa Rica. Today, virtually all of the spheres have been taken from their original locations. Many are prized lawn ornaments across Costa Rica. A collection of 6 now resides in the courtyard of Costa Rica's National Museum in San Jose. In 1971, Lynn Ottinger, a collector of artifacts and rocks, discovered several human skeletons while bulldozing a mine in Moab. The skeletons were named Malachite Man because of their greenish tint. After the skeletons were tested, creationists developed an argument that the skeletons were proof that humans coexisted with dinosaurs. However, after an examination of the fossils, it was determined that they were only about 100 years old and must have been the remains of the burials of Native Americans. The fossil status and age of the skeletons became disputed after John Marwitt, who was the director of archaeological surveys within the region, gave an interview about the find. According to him, the reporter was only interested in a story rather than the truth. So much of what he said was altered, and some creationists later based their discussions on the reporter's diluted account. Later examinations placed the skeletons as unfossilized remains carbon dated to around 210 to 1,450 years old. Evidence of ancient knowledge of electricity or a misinterpretation. The Dendera Light is a controversial symbol found in the Hathor Temple at Dendera, Egypt. In the most popular representation of the Dendera Light, a priest is shown holding up the lamp, and a few smaller figures are seen below it. At first glance, you'd easily think you're looking at a cable connected to sockets with some visible light bulbs. Some people believe it depicts an ancient light bulb, suggesting ancient Egyptians had advanced technology, but most scholars think it represents something else, like a ritual object or a religious symbol. They depict what some people interpret as a lamp or a bulb with a snake inside, suggesting the ancient Egyptians knew about electricity. However, mainstream Egyptologists argue that the Dendera Light actually represents a lotus flower and a jed pillar, which are common symbols in Egyptian mythology. They believe the supposed bulb is a misinterpretation of these symbols. The true purpose of the Dendera Light remains a mystery, with more theories and speculations coming to light. To answer what you are thinking, no, the Baghdad Battery is not a real battery. The Baghdad Battery is believed to be the oldest battery in the world, dating back to about 2,000 years ago. It is a set of 3 artifacts found together in 1938 by a German archaeologist consisting of a ceramic pot, a tube of copper, and a rod of iron in present-day Iraq. Similar artifacts have been recovered around the same area, but their purpose remains unknown. Earlier speculations concerning the battery were that it was proof that people from back then used electricity. However, this is only a myth, as there has been nothing to verify the presence of electricity generated from the clay battery from that age. Further testing showed that if filled with a weak acid, like vinegar, the Baghdad Battery combination produces around 1 volt. An alternative explanation for the battery's purpose is that it may be a part of a storage vessel for sacred scrolls. This is because the similar objects found around Tigris had been used for the same purpose. During the 2003 US-led invasion of Iraq, the Baghdad Battery was looted, along with thousands of other artifacts from the National Museum. The Ica Stones originated from the Inca Empire of present-day Peru. The stones have been regarded as modern hoaxes, but others maintain that they are evidence that an ancient race of humans who possessed advanced technology coexisted with dinosaurs. The Ica Stones are over 50,000 to 100,000 engraved stones that curiously depict clear and detailed dinosaurs, complex medical surgery, and forms of advanced technology, such as telescopes, images of flowers, fish, or living animals, including the more controversial dinosaurs, as well as mythological-type beasts or monsters, geometric images, and symbols. The stones first drew attention in 1966 when Peruvian physician Javier Cabrera Darquea was gifted one of the stones with the depiction of a fish for his 42nd birthday. The physician, who is very interested in Peruvian history, took to studying and collecting more of the stones, and he has one of the largest collections of the stones. The farmer who sold them to him later confessed that he had carved the stones he sold to Cabrera by himself, so they were not original. Many experts, including Cabrera, insist that the farmer may have declared them hoaxes to avoid jail because a single person could not have carved the 15,000 stones in his possession. Leading Tier 3 is the Magliano Disc, with its incredible origins and backstory. There's no doubt that archaeologists and historians have kept the rest of the world on their feet thanks to unearthing the mysteries of the ancient world. These mysteries are single-handedly responsible for sparking human curiosity, and one such is the Magliano Disc. Known as the lead plaque of Magliano, The disc is a weirdly shaped bronze plaque that contains 73 words scribbled in the Etruscan language, and it appears that the writing carries more weight than initially suspected. Researchers believe it might be a dedicatory text as it includes several names, most of which are underworld deities. The disc was stumbled upon in Magliano, Tuscany in 1882. Although its origins are not specifically known, archaeologists have determined that the artifact possibly dates back to the late 6th or early 5th century BC. Interestingly, the disc represents one of the longest known Etruscan inscriptions, and due to its cultural significance, it is housed in the National Archaeological Museum in Florence. The stone head of Salaspils is an intriguing artifact, but the origin and time it dates back to are unknown. According to stories, the earliest information about it may lie in the mid-19th century. According to the legend surrounding the head, a farmer from Salaspils found the stone idol on his property in 1851. Following its discovery, the farmer brought the head to a stonemason for carving, but upon realizing the stone was already carved to resemble a human head, the stonemason sent it to the museum at the Riga Cathedral. The head then went on display at a museum until 1875, after which it disappeared for the next 125 years. Finally, it resurfaced in 2000 and was found buried in the church's yard where it now resides. To this day, no one knows why and how it disappeared for over 100 years. Perhaps the stone isn't just an ordinary artifact. Many still believe an iron tool was used to carve human facial features into the 36-inch tall boulder. Others believe it's a religious idol, similar to other stone figures associated with past Baltic cultures, such as the old Prussian hags of northern Pomerania. However, due to the stone's possibly pagan heritage, some claim that the rock was intentionally hidden within the churchyard due to the church's intolerance for idols. What would you do if you randomly stumbled upon abandoned staircases in the forest? Runoff, of course. Well, don't be too hasty to take to your heels if you ever come across one of these, as they appear to have rather normal origins. The internet buzzed over reports of isolated staircases randomly popping up in national forests worldwide. What makes it extra creepy is that these staircases are found deep down in the woods, where no one has been known to ever live. Plus, these structures are standalone staircases without any other structures attached to them. In 2019, a Reddit user shared a story that seemed purely fictional at the time. According to the story, the Redditor had stumbled upon several staircases during search and rescue missions in the woods. Following this, numerous testimonies about seeing these weird structures began to bloom. And today, it's clear that those stories were not made up. Or at the very least, most of them are not. But what's the logical explanation behind them, and who built them? Well, there aren't exactly any logical explanations behind the staircases, but the simple one is that they are possibly man-made, considering some are made of bricks and others of wood. Although some of these staircases appear to be in shambles, others are perfectly stable and usable. However, they don't lead anywhere except for stretching up into the canopy of a tree. Archaeologists are constantly sniffing around for artifacts to unearth, and what find is better than a 100-year-old Swiss watch in an ancient tomb sealed more than 400 years ago? The Ming Dynasty grave in Shaanxi, southern China, was visited by archaeologists as part of the location for filming a documentary. They believed they were the first to make that visit since its occupant's funeral. However, they were unprepared for the artifact they would stumble upon in the muddy and rocky earth. It was none other than the Swiss watch of the Ming Dynasty. The watch, a miniature object shaped like a ring, is marked Swiss and thought to be just a century old. After pulling it from the earth, it was noted that the mysterious timepiece had stopped at 10:06 a.m. At the time of the Ming Dynasty, watches did not exist, and Switzerland did not even exist as a country. So, how on earth was a Swiss watch embedded in a Ming Dynasty graveyard? That's still largely unknown to date, but some believe perhaps the archaeologists weren't the first to come across the graveyard. Said to be a set of 716 circular stone discs dating back 12,000 years, the Dropa Stones, marked with tiny hieroglyphic-like markings, were discovered in 1938. The stones were found in the mountains of Bayan Kara Ula on the border between China and Tibet by a Chinese professor, Chipute, who detected regularly aligned rows of graves. The skeletons from the graves measured only around 4 feet in height and had skulls that were very large and possibly overdeveloped. While exploring the site, Chipute and his team found interesting rock art inside a nearby cave system. The art depicted figures with round helmets and scribbles of the sun, moon, earth, and stars, all connected by groups of pea-sized dots. Intrigued by this, they explored the cave further until they found a collection of stone discs, most of them half buried on the floor of the cave. Although the origins are still unknown, many have tossed his discovery out the window, claiming that the Dropa Stones, sometimes called the Dropa Stones, are not real archaeological or historical discoveries. According to some researchers, these stones aren't even a discovery, as no one has ever been able to prove they exist. This is likely because the translated text scrawled on the discs tells of the Dropa aliens who crashed their spacecraft in the region 12,000 years ago and tried to make a go at Earth until the locals hunted them down and ended them. Sadly, the story appeared too far-fetched, and Chipute had to resign when no one believed his tales. Eventually, the stones were moved about repeatedly, causing them to disappear forever. Unlike the Dropa Stones, the Heslington Brain is very much real. It's a 2,600-year-old human brain found inside a skull buried in a pit in Heslington, Yorkshire, in England, by York Archaeological Trust in 2008. According to research, it is the oldest preserved brain ever found in Eurasia, and is even thought to be the best preserved ancient brain in the world. The skull housing the brain was discovered during an archaeological dig green-flagged by the University of York on the site of its new campus on the outskirts of the city of York. The area, found to have been the site of a significantly developed habitation, possibly 2,000 to 3,000 years before the present day, had some possibly ritualistic objects lying around. The man had been hanged, then decapitated with a knife, and his skull appears to have been buried immediately. To date, the rest of the body remains missing, although there's every possibility that it must have undergone a natural decomposition. It is unknown why he was killed, but there's a possibility that it may have either been a human sacrifice or ritual murder. Surprisingly, the brain had been able to survive thousands of years, even though the rest of the tissue on the skull had disintegrated long ago. After its extraction at the York Hospital, the brain was subjected to a range of medical and forensic examinations, which found that it was still intact, though it had shrunk to only about 20% of its original size. As expected, the brain showed few signs of decay, though most of its original material had been replaced by an unidentified organic compound, possibly due to chemical changes during burial. The Moon-Eyed People statues of Cherokee are a set of statues believed to be built to resemble the Moon-Eyed People of Cherokee, a race of crypto-humans blinded by daylight but able to see in the moonlight. Today, there's a possibility that the tales of Moon-Eyed People may have been a myth. However, the statues do exist. The Moon-Eyed People statues are two creatures, 3 feet tall, carved from a block of soapstone centuries ago by laborious pecking with a harder rock. Like Siamese twins, the statues are conjoined with dished-in faces, no arms, and round eyes too big for their heads. They'd been found during a land clearing in Murphy in the early 1840s, but only went on public display in late 2015 after decades of being smuggled away in private hands. Some speculations claim they merely represent 2 local rivers or a human man and woman, while others suggest that they might be descendants of Welsh adventurers who supposedly landed in Alabama in 1170 AD. While the origins of the statues are a little confusing, researchers believe that everybody determines something different about the statues in their mind, which keeps them mysterious. The story of the Golden Owl starts almost like a very badly written Sherlock Holmes novel. According to the tale, on the night of April 22nd to 23, 1993, at 3 a.m., a man buried an object somewhere in France. The man, Max Valentine, had concealed a bronze owl statue, believed to be an artifact. It was an owl made of gold and silver and covered with diamonds worth 1 million francs, about 150,000 euros at the time, and it belonged to whoever could find it. Naturally, treasure hunters began a search to retrieve it, but just like any detective case, the hunters must solve 11 enigmas, written like parables, in a book of about 60 pages, published a few weeks after the owl's burial, On the Trail of the Golden Owl. The book was signed by Max Valentine and Michael Becker, 2 accomplices who joined forces. While many have come out to debunk the existence of a hidden fortune owl, the hunt for it has never ceased. The iron pillar located in Delhi was built during the reign of Chandragupta II, approximately 375 to 415 CE, and now resides in the Qutub complex at Mehrauli, Delhi, India. Constructed with metals known for their rust-resistant properties, the pillar is believed to have been originally erected elsewhere, potentially near the Udayagiri caves, and later relocated to its current site by Anangpal Tomar in the 11th century. The pillar's remarkable resistance to corrosion has fascinated archaeologists and material scientists, showcasing the advanced skills of ancient Indian ironsmiths. This corrosion resistance is attributed to a protective layer of crystalline iron 3-phosphate hydrate formed on the high phosphorus content iron, shielding it from the corrosive effects of the Delhi climate. The pillar bears various inscriptions dating back to different periods, including the oldest inscription attributed to a king named Chandra, often identified as the Gupta Emperor Chandragupta II. Despite its prominent location and accessibility, some of these inscriptions remain largely unstudied, but leave room for many discoveries. Father Crespi's tale is a mysterious and controversial one. Aside from being a priest, he was known as a Salesian monk born in Italy in 1891. He studied anthropology at the University of Milan before becoming a priest, leading many to believe his tales were made up due to his background in anthropology. In 1923, he was assigned to the small Andean city of Cuenca in Ecuador to work among the indigenous people. According to several accounts, the priest was constantly involved in claims of unknown civilizations, some of which included objects like strange golden artifacts, an underground cave system containing a metallic library, depictions of strange figures connecting America to Sumeria, symbols depicting an unknown language, evidence of extraterrestrial contact, and a Vatican conspiracy involving thousands of missing artifacts. Although the extent of truth behind the stories is unknown, dozens of websites today still tell the bizarre tale of Father Crespi, a humble priest, and his connection with a mysterious collection of artifacts. When Reddit user TramStopDan discovered a handmade wooden box in a dumpster, he'd initially thought it had appeared ordinary. The box had hinges, a handle, and locks, appearing like a wooden box of thrown-out treasures. However, upon opening it, he unearthed a trove of peculiar items. Among them were stacks of diary entries detailing visits from flying saucers in the late 1960s to 1980, alongside drawings of biblical creatures. This led to the box being dubbed the Box of Crazy. Upon further exploration, the box revealed sketches of UFOs, four-headed heavenly entities reminiscent of those in the biblical book of Ezekiel, and various other depictions blending divine and extraterrestrial themes. In addition, non-patented drawings of train wheels and hand-drawn maps from the late 1930s featuring a pinhole at the center were found. Concerned about his findings, TramStopDan shared them on Reddit, sparking numerous questions and speculations regarding the box's perplexing contents, ranging from the nature of their origin to their purpose. While definitive answers still haven't been made, the internet community has remained captivated by the enigmatic contents of the Box of Crazy. Philippe Boitier was a French geographer who revolutionized geography through innovative methods. Among his notable works is a 1753 map where he locates Fusang, also known as Fusang of the Chinese, positioned north of the state of California. This depiction intrigued scholars and explorers of the time, as Fusang was a legendary land mentioned in ancient Chinese texts, believed by some to be a distant territory, possibly in North America. Boitier's map sparked debates and investigations into the possibility of Fusang's existence, contributing to the exploration of the Americas. His innovative approach to geography and contributions made him important in advancing geographical knowledge during the 18th century. Allegedly found by David Wyrick in 1860 near Newark, Ohio, the Newark Holy Stones were buried within ancient Indian burial mounds. Even though they are now considered a hoax, the discovery stunned the world for a while. The set includes the keystone, a stone bowl, and the Decalogue with its sandstone box, all housed at the Johnson Humrick House Museum in Coshocton, Ohio. The artifacts were discovered within the Newark earthworks, part of the Hopewell culture, dating from around 100 BC to AD 500. Initially presented neutrally, the museum re-evaluated the perceived holy stones following concerns raised by the Center for the Future of Museums about trust, truth, and fake news. The magic sphere of Helios was an artifact discovered in 1866 within the Theater of Dionysus. It boasts a surface adorned with relief scenes, inscriptions, and symbols. One side depicts Helios as Cosmocrator, the omnipotent ruler of the universe, seated on a throne beneath an arch, clutching a whip and 3 blazing torches. The dogs at his feet likely symbolize the bright dog stars of the sky, Sirius and Procyon. According to research, the sphere features different symbols, allegorical animal scenes, numbers, and enigmatic inscriptions, possibly invoking Helios. Regarded as a magical object associated with Helios worship, its discovery in the Theater of Dionysus suggests a potential connection to rituals to secure victory for the sphere's owner in athletic or theatrical contests. Off the Ventura County coastline, roughly 5 miles southwest of Malibu in Los Angeles County, lies an intriguing underwater geological formation called Sycamore Knoll. Situated about 2,000 feet below the ocean surface, it boasts a size comparable to Culver City. Geologists attribute its existence to natural geological processes, yet to some, it resembles a colossal alien base lurking beneath the waves. Sycamore Knoll's distinct appearance, reminiscent of an artificially constructed, flat-roofed, oval-shaped structure with supporting columns, has fueled speculation, with some suggesting extraterrestrial origins. While skeptics emphasize Sycamore Knoll's natural origins, the allure of an underwater UFO base teeming with extraterrestrial activity continues to captivate imaginations. Named for the process by which their rampart walls were fused by intense heat, vitrified forts were prevalent throughout Europe's Bronze and Iron Ages. In about 200 known examples, these hilltop forts and enclosures, constructed using stone, exhibit signs of extreme heat damage. The stones in these walls were subjected to such high temperatures that they partially melted and fused, forming what is now known as vitrified forts, a long-standing mystery for archaeologists. Initially, the vitrification was misconstrued as evidence of past battles. However, further examination revealed that it was the sole binding agent holding the stone walls together, with no mortar or lime present. Instead, evidence suggests deliberate stacking of dry rocks followed by intentional ignition to fuse them into a solid block, a remarkable construction technique. Although initially believed to be unique to Scotland, vitrified forts have since been identified in various parts of Western and Northern Europe. A video depicting cloud-like formations covering the ground in the Doukkala region of Morocco gained widespread attention on social media following its release on YouTube. The video showcases the entire area engulfed in a dense foam-like substance, with sizable chunks of the mysterious material visibly rolling along the ground, seemingly propelled by the breeze. Despite the unusual appearance of the substance and the scarcity of such occurrences, opinions regarding its origin varied among YouTube commenters, with some attributing it to chemtrails, a debunked conspiracy theory, and others proposing it to be genuine clouds fallen to the ground, or river foam carried by the wind. Dismissing suggestions that the substance could be river foam, one YouTube user pointed out its light and dry appearance, contrasting it with the expected characteristics of waterborne foam. While speculations continue, the absence of a definitive scientific explanation has fueled debate and curiosity among social media users. When the Instituto Superior de Estudios Guadalupanos ISEG embarked on studying the image of Our Lady of Guadalupe in 1990, they didn't anticipate discovering musical elements. However, their findings were truly remarkable. After analyzing the image and applying a mathematical system, they revealed that the stars and flowers represented musical notes. This revelation sparked a journey to decipher the significance of these notes about Our Lady of Guadalupe. Their observations revealed the image's mathematical precision and incorporated elements such as the Fibonacci sequence and Kepler's triangle, enhancing the mystery. By dividing the tilma and applying a musical system, they uncovered a harmonious symphony hidden within, leading to a discovery that suggests divine inspiration behind the image. The Oklahoma runestones have been a topic of discussion since their discovery in 1923. Since then, several runestones have been discovered in Oklahoma, all from the 19th century Viking revival, or at least made by Scandinavian settlers. The oldest, the Heavener runestone, was the first to be found in 1923. It was likely crafted by a Scandinavian immigrant, potentially a Swede, at the local train depot. Although the origins are truly unknown, with many debunking the stone's relation to the Vikings, skepticism remains, as theories ranging from French explorers to 19th century Scandinavian farmers have been made. Whatever the origins, the runestone, regardless of authenticity, became part of a state park in 1970, preserving the area's natural beauty and hiking trails. In 1982, Burrows E. Russell claimed that he found a treasure trove of artifacts while he was either out scouting for pots, hiking, or searching for buckles and horseshoes from the Civil War era. His story seemed to change depending on his moods or the amount of pressure on him to reveal his secrets at the time. According to him, the cave site is located in Illinois, and it contains several ancient artifacts. Due to his secrecy about the cave site, nobody has been able to get actual information about the said artifacts, except what Burrows was ready to share. Other accounts have claimed that Burrows sold some gold from the artifacts during a private auction, but nothing is exactly verified. He reported that the artifacts include life-sized gold statues, gold coffins, pagan idols, weapons, diamonds, coins, portraits, burial urns, swords, weaponry, and suits of armor. Other people have speculated that the cave may have been the burial site of an unidentified African king, or it may have some affiliations with Alexander the Great. Through the many inconsistencies of Russell E. Burrows' story, discovery, and findings, the cave is considered a hoax by archaeologists and anthropologists. The Yucca Mountain in southern Nevada is one of the biggest holes in the world. In 2002, Yucca Mountain was officially designated as the site to store U.S. spent fuel and high-level radioactive waste. The project began in 1982, approved on IT, and it was meant to be a wonder upon completion. The site was built to be a potential high-level nuclear waste storage site for the next 10,000 years and beyond. To enter the place, a basic and topless shuttle was made to convey people into the man-made hole. The Stargate part of the concept came from several conspiracy theories, which was derived from the fictional movie Stargate, the Yucca Mountain Repository. Stargate concept, therefore, imagines a scenario where a Stargate is somehow connected to or located within the Yucca Mountain Nuclear Waste Repository, possibly as a cover for secret government operations or experiments. After all the theories developed about the site and all the work done, the site was never opened for political reasons. The Museum of Inner Mongolia has revealed a remarkable discovery, a 1900-year-old tomb containing a well-preserved mummy and a trove of artifacts. The mummy was discovered wrapped in yellow silk and adorned with elaborate gold jewelry in a tomb named M3 by archaeologists in a cemetery in Inner Mongolia, China. It is believed to have belonged to an aristocratic family, possibly the tribal chiefs of the region. Despite obvious signs of looting over the centuries, the tomb still contained a wealth of ceramics, jewelry, shoes, and other items, offering a fascinating peek into ancient life. Among the artifacts recovered was a silver bowl depicting the Greek gods Hera, Athena, Aphrodite, and Zeus. The story of the Japanese demon mummies sounds like something out of a horror movie waiting to scare children. Because of some misfortunes that have been attributed to the demon mummies, it probably makes sense for them to be kept off the streets and humans and kept under the watchful eyes of a priest. The mummies are the preserved remains of demons, mermaids, kapes, tengus, and even human monks. The three-headed demon mummy residing in a temple in Kanazawa holds a legend that the resident priest had discovered it in a temple storage chamber in the 18th century. Another one of the demon mummies can be found at Daijoin Temple in the town of Usa. Legend holds that it was once the family heirloom of a noble family who had to get rid of it after they experienced a misfortune. The next keeper of the mummy experienced a similar fate after he fell ill, and the mummy was declared cursed. It later changed hands multiple times till it ended up at the Daijoin Temple, where it is considered a sacred object. At nearly 14,000 years old, the ruins of Puma Punku are the oldest and most baffling on the face of the earth. It is a famous archaeological site of the Tiwanaku heritage, located in Bolivia. The Puma Punku is known for its incredible stone structures, which are believed to have been part of a larger complex built by the Tiwanaku civilization. The site is renowned for its precisely cut stone blocks, some of which weigh several tons and are intricately carved. The stones are cut and shaped with such accuracy that it has led to speculation about the techniques and tools used to create them. Some theories suggest advanced ancient technology, although archaeologists have generally attributed the precision to the skill of the Tiwanaku stonemasons. Other opinions look at the Pumapunku complex and other surrounding structures from a cultural and spiritual point of view, that it functioned as spiritual and ritual centers for the Tiwanaku people. The Northwest Caucasus region has one of the largest concentrations of dolmens in the world, with thousands of these structures scattered across the landscape. The locals referred to them as Icepuns, which translates to House of Dwarves in English. They were built during the early Bronze Age between the 4th and 2nd millennium BCE. The Caucasus dolmens are usually large, upright stones supporting a flat stone roof, creating a small chamber. Most dolmens have a semicircle or oval-shaped hole in the center that is made to look like an access point. Archaeologists do not know who built them, where the stones came from, or what their true purpose was, leading to much speculation in the scientific community. Speculations for its use suggest that they were likely used for burial chambers or religious purposes. An attempt was made to reconstruct the dolmens in 2007, but despite the aid of modern technology, the builders were unable to achieve the same level of precision. The Dacian bronze matrix is a press tool for constructing jewelry, which is both exquisite in its craftsmanship and filled with information about the ancient Dacians. The origin of the matrix comes from a Dacian jeweler shop, and it is the only one of its kind in Europe, dated to about 2,000 years ago. The artifact was unearthed after a storm at the roots of a tree that had collapsed at the Sarmizegetusa Regia archaeological site in Romania. It has been dubbed as a unique and priceless artifact after it was discovered very recently in 2013. The designs on the matrix depicted a lot of animals, most of which were fighting each other. They were obviously intended to be pressed into gold to make jewelry reflecting real and fantastical designs. The real animal figures range from the domestic, such as goats and dogs, to exotic lions, rhinoceros, leopards, tigers, and hippopotamuses. The valued matrix sits in its own room in the Dacian and Roman Civilization Museum of Diva in Romania, allowing visitors to view all its sides and engravings. A bizarre structure spotted on Google Earth has UFO enthusiasts excited that it may be a secret UFO bunker. The structure seems to be located in an Egyptian desert, east of Cairo. From the pictures of Google Earth, the features of the structure are unusual, but nothing points to a possible UFO link. The pictures depict two buildings pointed upwards with little unusual circles on one side. But how secret can a structure close to a highway be? From the pictures, a visible highway can be seen just after the structure, which indicates that it is very close to the road. Many speculations about the unusual building suggest that it may be an entrance to a secret military base, an entrance to an interconnected underground tunnel wrapping around the Earth, and others that do not exactly make sense. The super-modern design of the structure has many people curious about the building, but it seems we will not get a clue anytime soon. The Davenport calendar tablets, also known as the Djed Festival tablets, are a set of 3 ancient Egyptian artifacts that were unearthed in 1877 from a burial mound in Davenport, Iowa, United States. These tablets are dated to the late period of ancient Egypt, which is 664 to 332 BCE, and are believed to have been used to calculate the dates of the annual Djed Festival, which was a religious celebration associated with the god Osiris. The tablets are made of bronze and are inscribed with hieroglyphic text and images related to the festival. They contain detailed calculations and astronomical information that would have been used by priests to determine the timing of the festival, which was based on the lunar calendar. The tablets are considered important artifacts because they provide insights into the religious practices and calendar systems of ancient Egypt. Their discovery outside of Egypt proves that early Egyptians may have traveled towards America, possibly for trade relations. An archaeologist from the University of Iowa said the tablet was a hoax, as it was buried by members of the Davenport Academy of Science to trick another member and ridicule him. The supposed victim, Dr. Barry Fell, confirmed that 2 of the 3 tablets may have been probable fake, but the third, which is the actual Davenport calendar, is definitely not fake. Cueva de los Tallos, which is Spanish for Cave of the Oil Birds, is infamous for allegedly housing the golden plates containing the history of mankind. The cave is located on the eastern slopes of the Andes Mountain in Ecuador. The Golden Library was first discovered in the caves around the 1960s by a Hungarian explorer named Juan Moric. In his account, he claims that the cave contains a polished stone desk with large books of gold. Moric also claimed that he encountered 4 aliens within the cave who congratulated him for his wit. However, his stories may have been exaggerated for personal gain, as he demanded money from people who wanted to verify his claims. Despite numerous expeditions, the plates have never been recovered or photographed, which led the archaeological community to believe it was a hoax.